Hi there, my name is Brandy M. Miller, and I'm with 40daywriter.com. And I'm going to tell you a really cool story about how a 7-year-old, 70-pound little girl totally knocked out a 27-year-old, 210-pound man using nothing but her story. And how do I know this story? Because I was that 7-year-old little girl. When I was 7 years old, my stepfather was the man in question. And he was an abuser. And when I tell you that he was an abuser, I don't mean it was just a little bit. I can remember him picking up my little brother, who was a year and a half younger than I was, and literally slamming him up against the wall, shoving his face in that little boy's face, and screaming at him at the top of his lungs. I can remember how terrified we would get when that leather belt of his cleared the belt loops on his jeans, and we just waited, shaking, for him to beat us. I can remember one time counting 27 strokes against my little brother's backside for something I don't even remember what it was. By the time that I was 5 years old, he had taught me how to French kiss. By the time that I was 7, I knew how to give a blowjob. If you tell me there's something wrong with that, yeah, there's a lot wrong with that. And I was afraid to tell him no on anything because his temper was so explosive. I remember sitting in the truck one day, and it was me and my older sister. And my older sister hadn't even said anything, and for no reason, he just reaches out and backhands her because he didn't like the way she was looking at him. So when I tell you that I was afraid of this man, that really doesn't even begin to scratch the surface of how I felt at that age. That fall, I was in 2nd grade, and my mom comes to get me and pick me up from school, which was really unusual because Mom didn't do that. We were latchkey kids. We were on our own pretty much from the time school let out until whenever she wandered back in the door. But she took me home that day. She got to the driveway and she told me, you know, if anybody's been touching you in a way that makes you feel uncomfortable, it's okay for you to tell me. So I gathered up every last ounce of my courage that day, and I told her exactly what my stepfather was doing when she wasn't home. She thanked me, and she let me out of the car. And for 3 weeks, nothing happened. Nothing changed. My stepfather worked out of town, and so when he came back home, I waited to see what was going to happen, and at first nothing did. And then one Saturday, I was home alone with him in the den, and he comes in and he corners me, and I froze. I remember being so scared of what was about to happen. I could picture him removing that belt and using it on me. But he didn't do that. Instead, he looks me in the eyes and he tells me, if you ever talk again, they're going to call the police. And if they call the police, they're going to take me away. And then you and your mom and your brother and your sister are all going to be on the street, and you're going to be homeless, and you're going to starve because I won't be there to support you. So you can't talk ever again, or you're going to be homeless and you're going to starve to death. And I knew he was right. I knew that my mom didn't have the money to take care of us. She was always telling us how much money she didn't have, so I knew for a fact that we didn't have the money to make it. But I also recognized something else. He was scared of me. He was scared of my story. He was scared of what would happen if I kept telling it. And on that day, I claimed my power. And I didn't stop telling that story. It took me 2.5 more years to get to the point where somebody would take action. 2.5 more years before I would tell my mom for the second time, and this time she would go to the police. But eventually, my voice became my victory. Now, I tell you this story not so that you're going to feel sorry for me or so that you think terrible things about my stepfather. I tell you this story because I want you to understand that your voice is your victory too. Right now, you're up against a whole lot of things in life that feel just too big for you to tackle. You've got billionaires and bankers and government employees and politicians and military and wars and famines and pestilence and plagues and all kinds of things that just feel too big for you to tackle. And it just feels like you are just one person and there's no way you can make a difference. And I'm here to tell you, you can make a difference. Your voice is your victory, just like mine was. And one person is all it takes. One person making a difference is all it takes to change the whole world. See, you think one person can't make a difference, and then you look back at history and tell me Socrates, one person, Aristotle, one person, Homer, one person. Their books have been read for over 5,000 centuries, 5,000 years, rather. Okay? Their books have been read by generation after generation after generation, and it's changed and influenced the hearts and the minds of those people. One person makes a difference. Abraham Lincoln was one person, but he made a difference. Martin Luther King Jr., one person made a difference. Mother Teresa, one person made a difference. One person can make a huge difference. All you have to do is step up and own your power. Claim your voice. Put it to work for you. A lot of you out there have stories that you are hiding from the world. You have things that have happened to you, that have hurt you, that you don't ever want anybody to know about because you, quite frankly, just want to forget about them. You wish they would go away. You wish they'd never happened. You have things you've done, failures in your life that you wish would just go away. You would like nothing more than to have never had them happen at all. You have mistakes you've made. You have people you've hurt. You've had really bad things you've done, and you want all of that to just go away. So you create this mental closet where you shove all that stuff and you lock the door and you pray that nobody ever opens it. Well, I'm going to challenge you today, because inside of that mental closet where you've been shoving all of that stuff is the real gold, the good stuff, the best stuff that you have to offer the world. You paid a lot in blood and sweat and tears to gain that gold. Don't lock it away. Unpack it. Examine it. Find the lessons in it. And then find the courage to step up and share it so that somebody else doesn't have to go through what you went through. So that somebody else can know that even if they've messed up that bad, better things can happen. So that somebody else knows that just because you're 7 years old doesn't mean you have no power. Your voice is your victory. I want to really encourage you on this. Believe that you can make a difference. And all you have to do to start making a difference is to share your story. That's it. That's all you have to do. Step up and share your story. Let your voice be heard. Don't let the media tell your story. Don't let them drown out your voice with their own. You step up. You share your story. You make yourself heard. Take responsibility for it. You have a lot of power. You were born into this world to make a difference. That stuff that you have in your background, that's how you're going to make your difference. So don't be afraid of it. Don't hide it away. Don't be ashamed of what happened. Yeah, be ashamed that you did it, but go back and find something positive that you can teach somebody else on how to avoid it and turn that negative into a positive that works for you instead of against you. Tell your story. It doesn't have to be written. If you're up for writing a book, I'll be happy to help you. But if that's not your thing, Use YouTube. Put a video together. Use FaceTime. Put a video together. Put a post. Put a photograph. Do something, but share your story. Because your voice is your victory. And it's the one thing that you can never allow them to take from you. The minute you allow them to take it, that's the minute you've lost. America right now, as individuals, a lot of us are feeling like we've lost. We feel like our voices aren't being heard. We feel like nobody's listening. We feel like we can't make a difference. You know why? Because we've let our voices be stolen. Well, guess what? The internet gives you the power to reclaim your voice. You can't use that excuse. It wasn't stolen from you. You have the power to reclaim it. Get busy, get doing. Now, if you happen to have enjoyed this video and you found value in it, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe to my channel. I plan on starting to do weekly sessions like this. I want to challenge your assumptions. I want you to think. I want you to grow. I want you to be empowered. So subscribe to my channel, because the more subscriptions I get, the more encouragement I have to create new content. And if you really thought this would change somebody's life, share it. Please share it. Please let people know there is hope. That the polls aren't the only place we have the opportunity to make our opinions known. We can make a difference every single day. Okay? So if you appreciate the message, again, subscribe to the channel, share it with somebody else. If you want to leave a comment, feedback, positive or negative, yes, there's gold in both. And this is the internet. I don't expect rainbows and unicorns all the time. I'm well aware that there are people out there who are just going to hate for the sake of hating. And if that's you, well, God bless you, because obviously you need it. And if you want to ask questions about my story, if you want to say anything, I will be paying attention. Again, like, comments, shares, and subscribe to the channels. All of it's appreciated. God bless you and have a wonderful day. And remember, don't let your voice be stolen away. Use it. It's your superpower.